Yo, it's ODB, our lifestyle podcast, aka OLP. Want to sneak in a flip through from 1978 Truckin Magazine. Let's jump right in. And, oh, by the way, there's more mini Truckin episodes coming very soon. I'm going to try to knock out a few this week. Going to have a little bit of a break for the next week or so on shows, and I'll be at work here in the lab. Now, before we get started, I did want to remind everyone you can go out to atlmagazine.com. That's All Time Low Magazine, and pick up an issue. This one's pretty cool. There's a nod to Courtney Hollowell, of course, with this famous shot. And you can pick up a subscription or a copies. They did get additional copies in. atlmagazine.com. That's All Time Low Magazine. All right. So this is a gem. I've wanted this one for a while, and I had an opportunity to pick up a nice copy. You know, when you think of old school mini truck, and a lot of people think of the early 90s, it really depends what age you are. Some think, early 80s, late 80s, that type of thing. For me, I tend to think of old school mini trucking as like, the mid 80s into the late 80s into the 90s, right? But, dude, mini truck mania. Not only is there a skateboard, but there's a really awesome truck, very cool colors, a different angle, if you will, obviously probably to hide the ramp. But, to me, how cool was it, at the top, talk about cool, van AC cooling the back room, but September of 78, this is volume 4, number 9. So really 4th year in, you got basically trucking, showing love to the minis, which, as we've all talked about, Ernie Macias has said it in the past as well, might have been on the West Coast influence. The mini trucks were born out of the 70s, especially during the gas price challenges of, all of the gas wars and all that stuff. So let's dive right in here. Nobody tops a blazer like Husky. And I think one of the homies recently talked about, like, those were referred to as safari tops. I think it was Ed that had chimed in. Shout out to Ed Eister. So going back to the 70s, cover championship skateboarder. Is it Skitch Hitchcock? Was captured by Jeff Ruiz while jumping over Dave Newman's beautiful chopped Grand Illusion Datsun. So let the record reinforce that mini trucking has been around a long time. Reader's Wrap. Truck stuff. Now, I would ask that you contemplate subscribing to Street Trucks, a national publication, but you can also subscribe to their YouTube, and then you can follow them on Facebook. I have the unique opportunity to partner with them, thanks to Chris and Nicole. We've done a couple of live streams. There's going to be more, including Mini Truckin' Nationals, aka Mini Nats. So, please subscribe to the magazine if you can. But if nothing else, if funds are tight, go out there and subscribe to the free social media stuff. Pumping Rice. Tilton Engineering shows how to add muscle to stock mini truck power plants. So again, minis are getting the love all the way back to the 70s, of course, in Truckin Magazine. Now we're working to get Steve Stillwell on the podcast. That's going to be classic. Steve, of course, worked at Truckin. I don't know what year he started, but man, what a name. Truckin, mini truckin, street trucks. Step sides on the rise. What about that? California's step side manufacturing can usually deliver within 2 weeks. Now, although it was costly, you do see here, of course, color in the magazine. Check out that topper dough. Definitely different times. C1 UFO looks like it's on the tag. This is just a couple of months before I was born, this issue came out. Look to the skies. Dude. Definitely tell the van influence is there, right? Rumble in the Streets. I talked about recently this isn't probably Lund, I'm guessing, but this style fiberglass piece is what the Mach 1 guys recently picked up. Yeah, those are kind of getting harder to come by now. This one again is more of a 70s style. I think it's huge, but those rare accessories are definitely not easy to come by these days. Here you got shop truck. So just like in mini trucking, you know, you had to turn the page. A little 55. Now, shout out to Classic Gaming Quarterly. He's the guy that does this. He does really well-produced videos for vintage magazines, video game magazines. And that's what's inspired me to do this. So many probably have never heard of this. I read this one not too long ago, Grand Illusion. What an awesome name. But David Newman's Grand Illusion was built from a 73 Datsun. A lot of work in this thing. God, skateboards were so much smaller in the 70s, 60s, 70s. So some product placement there with the vinyl dynamic products. Really cool, man. I mean, for the time, I mean, I don't think there's anybody watching this that wouldn't rock this thing. So Melinda Lackey is the model. And of course, you see she's wiping down the rear engine truck. I mean, you talk about mods, this thing would probably clean up on the circuit these days. So tricky tailgate. Pretty cool tech article. Kind of Frenching in the license plate. I mean, even back in the 70s, man. Here I was in the 90s thinking it was cool, you know? And it's like, damn, they've been doing this for a long time. That grill dough. Shout out to Josh Wheeler and all of those guys in Orlando. They call themselves the Orlando Vanners. Dude, those guys they just did an event called the Freeze for All. I mean, those guys are straight out of almost in the wrong decade they live, man. I love seeing what they do. But yeah, shout out to everyone that continues to tune into the podcast. Getting a lot of good feedback. We're going to kind of continue the best we can to mix it up this year with some cool guests and, you know, try to keep it fresh for everyone so no one gets bored of it. Dark Star. When you talk about accessories, it's amazing to me that there's so many different accessories that have survived and you know, certain, you know, old school parts and things like that. I know Josh Wheeler and those guys, and I'm sure there's Vanners still everywhere. The amount of stuff that's still out there is amazing. So Quicksilver, real cool C10. Wait, it's not a C10. Let's take a closer look. It's a 77.5 Ford Courier. It's getting dark out here, y'all. I saw the step side bed. I'm like, wait, what? What? Back door. Holy event. The Mint 400. Van rear air conditioning. Tech articles were the way to spread great information. but also for good product placement for these companies. They'd maybe donate a set, the magazine would do a tech article, and then potentially the sales would pick up. Fun fact, I don't know if I've shared it, maybe I've said in passing, but my dad had a van. It was the one of only 2 new vehicles that he ever purchased in his life. It was a 77-ish, right? I would guess 77 Dodge van. It had no windows. It had the little moon windows, actually. It was all carpeted in the back. It had an old school stereo in it, and when my mom was driving it, a lady had hit her. This is probably, I don't know, 85, 86-ish, 87, right in those 3 years, I would guess. She got in an accident, and it basically got totaled, and when it got towed to the junkyard, before my dad could get there, the stereo was already stolen. He had 6x9s in it, and he wasn't a big customizer, but man, he loved that van and all the work that was in it, and basically was down the tube when it got in an accident. Luckily, my mom was fine, and that led them to purchasing a newer van. It wasn't brand new. They went to a car lot and they picked up a van that had the big windows in the sides. It was the one that had the little table in it. And, we'd go on road trips in the summer up to Michigan, and we'd roll in that van. Seems like he kept it for, 5 years or so. I think he eventually sold it, and then he got an 88 GMC Jimmy. So, yeah. A little bit of a backstory on the customizing in my family. I think that's about it. And then Fun Rubber. That's a fun ad. Dunlop tires. Really a well-preserved issue, too. Awesome times. Great illustration. But I do have some 70s, not a lot of 70s issues, though. But as time goes on, I'll continue to go through the mini Truckin magazines. That's primarily our focus. Take a little bit of a break here and there and go through stuff like this, and then post some more content. Really want to ramp it up in 2021. So thanks to everyone that makes it by here, gives us a thumbs up, leaves a positive comment, listens to the podcast. If you haven't found us yet, go search OLP via your favorite podcast app. Even apps like Pandora or Spotify, we're on there as well. So go out there, search OLP, follow us, like us, subscribe, whatever you got to do, and stay on the rise, y'all. Appreciate you. ODB. We at you. Peace.